All right, all right. Let's get going. On behalf of HSITAG, all its members, welcome to the first ever HSITAG Shark Tank event. We're thrilled that you have joined us. I know another Zoom meeting is not what everybody seeks these days, so we really appreciate your attendance. We hope you find this event valuable, informative, and also a lot of fun, and mostly fun. So for those of you who have not heard of HSITAG, HSITAG is a human services IT advisory group. HSITAG serves as a collaborative source of knowledge, educational outreach, and guidance to improve the delivery of human service programs within government. So before we get started, some quick logistics. You should see everything should be set for you. You should not need to change the view within Zoom. You'll be able to see us in gallery view. So let's get started. So about this event, so why are we doing this? One of the HSITAG focus areas is to serve as a resource on human services technology for governments and industry partners. We have developed a work group on artificial intelligence and machine learning, given the importance and relevance of these emerging technologies for the health and human services industry. We really believe these technologies could be game changers. So our objective here is really to educate the audience on how human services programs might make the most of artificial intelligence and machine learning. But kind of instead of the white papers or the standard panel discussions, we wanted to do something different and something fun. So we decided to use the concept of Shark Tank as a way to illustrate these points and help educate our state, local partners and everybody else on the uses of this technology. So hopefully everybody knows about Shark Tank, but for those of you who don't, Shark Tank is where you have entrepreneurs pitch ideas to sharks who are the investors, and then the sharks decide on what they're gonna, how they're gonna invest. We're gonna do a little tweak on that, which I'll explain in a bit. Well, something else we're doing here as well is one of HSITAG's strategic priorities is giving back. As part of our ongoing charitable givings initiative, we have partnered with the UVA chapter of Girls Who Code. And we've identified 3 Girls Who Code there. You can see their pictures here, Gloria, Tiki, and Myra. And they've been with us since January, working on the requirements of this, the ideas, helping us pitch. And they're, in fact, each of them is on one of the teams. And we really wanted to, as part of our coaching efforts, and there's another committee in HSITAG, which is charitable givings. We're kind of doing a joint committee event here, and we've been working with these girls since January, and they've been part of the whole event, the whole process, seeing how the sausage is made. And I'll be talking to them after that, while we're tallying the votes here. So first, let's set some context. What is artificial intelligence and machine learning? But this is what it's not. This is what my kids think it is when they think of Terminator. They think of Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'll be back, but that's really not what it is. And so Alan Turing, the father of artificial intelligence, defined this as enables machines to exhibit intelligent behavior equivalent to or indistinguishable from that of a human. And people often confuse machine learning. So machine learning is really a subset of artificial intelligence where the machines learn from patterns in data instead of algorithms or instructions or rules. So you're not programming it to do something, but in fact, it learns from the data. You still have to program it a bit, but you're no longer setting algorithms to make it do something. And so what you're going to hear today is pitches on artificial intelligence and machine learning within the human services domain. So how will our Shark Tank work? We have 3 teams, 4 investors, $4 million of HSITAG dollars, and 11 minutes for each team to make their case. So the 3 teams are Team 1, document management, Team 2 is data and analytics, and Team 3 is virtual agents. I'm going to introduce the 4 sharks. Now the 4 sharks they know about the topics, but they have no idea what the use cases are within each of these topics. So for them, it's a complete surprise. Now, while we were combing through the American Rescue Plan budget, we found $4 million of HSITAG dollars really dedicated to this Shark Tank event. So we're going to give each judge $1 million. So thank you, Joe and Kamala, for that. We're going to give each judge $1 million, and they're going to vote, and they're going to basically allocate their dollars to each one of those 3 teams. They could put all their money on one team. They could split their money between 3 teams. It's up to them. Or they could say, I'm out of this. I don't want to be part of this one. And then we have 11 minutes for each team to make their case. So now, stop sharing. We are now going to welcome our sharks. So we're going to go from East Coast to West Coast. So first, from the New Jersey Department of Human Services, welcome Miss Independent. That's Allison Davis.
I'm Allison Davis, actually from the New Jersey Department of Health. My bottom line ROI is efficiency and customer self-sufficiency.
Thank you, Thank you, Miss Independent. Second, from the Arizona Department of Health Services, Ms. Moneymaker, Paula Mattingly. Welcome, Paula. Love that tie.
I'm Paula Mattingly, and I am here to invest in the team that I believe is going to make me the most money. Looking forward to it.
Awesome, Ms. Moneymaker. And third, from Nevada, Clark County Department of Juvenile Justice Services, Ms. High Roller, Eboni Washington.
Hello, everybody. Miss High Roller, also known as Eboni Washington from Clark County in wonderful Las Vegas, Nevada. And I am only interested in investing my money in solutions that can help customers.
Awesome, Ms. High Roller. And last but not least, from the state of Alaska, Department of Health and Social Services, Ms. Gold Rush, Heidi Lengdorfer.
Good morning, everyone. This is Miss Gold Rush, otherwise known as Heidi Lengdorfer from the state of Alaska. I'm here to strike gold and make my claim.
All right, so we have the 4 sharks. Love the outfits. Oh, a lot of them kind of bow ties. Love the glasses. We're going to get started. So Bill, I'll be your moderator today, and Mark Halen with KPMG, and we're going to get started. So Bill, can you bring team 1 in?
Hello, everyone. This is Rupam Chakshi from Team 1, and judges or sharks, as I get my screen ready, you may want to get your wallets and checkbooks ready because in the next 11 minutes, you might need that. So here we go with Team 1, automated document processing.
Hi, my name is Karen, and with me today are Gloria and Rupam, and we are here to present our solution to document management and ask for a $2 million combined investment for implementation in at least 4 states. The U.S. Medicaid spend has grown to over $600 million a year. $600 million. Medicaid is approximately 1/3 of states' budgets. Eligibility caseworkers across the country are buried in digital and paper documentation. Processing documentation is approximately 40 to 70% of an eligibility worker's caseload. And as more and more individuals apply for Medicaid benefits across the country, states continue to be inundated with documentation for eligibility. So sharks, da-da-da! Doc Woman is here to help solve your document management woes. Her superpowers include reading structured and unstructured data at the speed of light, deep diving into documents and finding key data elements, recognizing signatures, checkboxes, and tabular information. But before we get too excited about Doc Woman and her technology powers, let's understand the problem a little more. Medicaid enrollment has increased approximately 9% in the last 5 years. However, state staff has not increased at the same pace, and in some instances, it's actually declined. Doc Woman is the answer to more efficiently and effectively process eligibility documents. As of November 2020, over 78 million individuals were enrolled in Medicaid in the United States. That's over 20% of the population. Monthly enrollment by states range anywhere from 60,000 to over 12 million across the US. States have seen increased growth due to the economic impact of COVID-19. Miss Independent, you have seen a 4% increase in enrollment and have over 1.8 million individuals enrolled in your state. That's a lot of paperwork. And Miss Gold Rush, your state has done a great job getting individuals access to healthcare with an 80% increase in enrollment in 5 years. And Doc Woman can help you be more efficient. Medicaid eligibility requirements are broadly based on income, age, disability, pregnancy, household size, and the applicant's household role. When an individual applies for Medicaid, a variety of documents are required with variation by states. Documents of assets, income verification, identity verification, social security card, insurance. The volume of documentation that needs to be classified, matched, and verified is significant. In addition, Medicaid eligibility has to be redetermined every 12 months, so eligibility staff go through this process annually.
So how do artificial intelligence and machine learning factor into document processing? Doc Woman will use artificial intelligence, or AI, by interpreting data, potentially learning from that data, and using that knowledge to adapt and achieve specific goals. The data Doc Woman will work with, of course, is Medicaid documents. She will also use machine learning, which is a subcategory of AI, as she makes decisions from these documents. Our technology will use both supervised and unsupervised learning, which are subcategories of machine learning. Supervised learning involves giving our algorithms examples of previous Medicaid document outputs to classify data from new documents. The advantages of using supervised learning are that it can predict outcomes from a large amount of data and that it's computationally simple. Unsupervised learning, on the other hand, does not need you to point out the correct output for a document, but instead finds patterns and data groupings on its own. The value of unsupervised learning comes from its short training time compared to supervised learning. Both of these types of learning will be useful when it comes to the variety of Medicaid documents that are needed for processing. So what happens when technology cannot recognize or extract required information? As Doc Woman's algorithms and models process documents, she will assign a confidence level to each item she looks at. So the workflow can be set up in a way that items below a certain confidence level are automatically sent for human review. This kind of human intervention can be multiple points in the process.
All right, so before we get into the solution, let's understand documents a little bit. From a processing perspective, there are 3 different types of documents: structured, semi-structured, unstructured. Structured are those applications renewals that are template-based forms, pay stubs, bank statements, documents that mostly have similar information, but in various templates. These are semi-structured. And then unstructured are your court documents or employment letters, basically anything that is free form. At the core, Doc Woman is automating 2 crucial labor-intensive tasks. Number 1, classification of documents, right? So Karen talked about a bunch of different verification documents coming in. Somebody, a human being, is sitting down and classifying, sorting through all of these documents. What Doc Woman is doing is going in, understanding all of that with supervised, unsupervised learning, and automating all of that process. Along with that, it is doing data extraction. So data extraction comes in multiple categories. The first one is simple key value pairs, subtracting or extracting first name and last name, date of birth, things like that. It can also understand handwriting. So going in and extracting change of address information can be now automated. Tabular data, anything that is tabular in nature can be extracted, and that tabular format can be maintained. Presence of signatures can be detected. Checkboxes, what checkboxes are checked, all of that can be automated as well. So now that we know of her capabilities, let's kind of look into the process. And we're not going to go into too much details, but this is what's going on behind the scenes.
Hi, it's Miss Independent. I have a couple questions.
Sure.
So a lot of documentation may be auto uploaded by the client at my state. So let's say I take a picture of a driver's license or scan a document and I'm asked to upload it. Are you then saying that Doc Woman will be utilized by Medicaid employees to pull down that maybe driver's license that was auto-loaded or a document that was auto-loaded, scanned and entered into the data record?
Yeah, so what we're saying is Doc Woman will work with your front-end system to take those documents that come in and recognizing that this is the correct automated or correct driver's license or verification document that has to be submitted before a human being has to go in and check it or manually upload it. Doc Woman is doing it on the back, so it keeps everything ready for your workers.
Okay, great.
All right. So carrying on with this, it starts with digitization, like Ms. Independent talked about, enhancement, character recognition, classification, extraction, validation, and then finally export. So all of this, while it seems it's a lot of steps, Doc Woman zips through this in sub-seconds, much, much faster than a human being can. So let's look at some couple real world examples. So there is all these documents that come in, applications that come in, they have to be signed. And a lot of these times they are not signed. What happens is these unsigned applications are still going through the process of eligibility without someone figuring out that these are unsigned. When a person looks at it and figures out that they're unsigned, it goes back to the applicant. What Doc Woman can do is at the inception, as soon as that document is in, the application is in, we can detect that it is unsigned and it can go back to the applicant for signature. Similarly, there's information that is missing. And before a human being having to detect that, Doc Woman, the computer, can be doing that, and it can do process nested business rules, where if it sees a certain checkbox and certain information is required, and if it's not there, it can send it back.
How does it send it back?
How does it send it back? It will work with messaging technologies or your app or your portal to then hand it back to the applicant.
Okay.
Team one, 90 seconds left.
All right. So another thing is verification loop. We know that there is time going back and forth requesting these documents. If these documents are figured out and they are detected, then that automation can happen behind the scenes rather than a caseworker working on it. So finally, the world is going digital, but documents still have to be processed, right? There's more automation we can bring to make our social programs better. So Sharks, we are asking for $2 billion in combined investment with just 5 minutes of saving per application. This process, Doc Woman, can give its money back in less than a year. But wait, there's more. There's benefits to the caseworker and positive program outcomes that are even more effective. So improved caseworker morale, better customer service, increase in one-touch processing, tons of efficiency gains that you can be used for other initiatives. And at the end of the day, Medicaid is just one example, right? Doc Woman can help when we start with Medicaid, but it can help any document-heavy process. So you take SNAP, TANF, childcare, energy, child support, any document-heavy process can be automated with this. And at the end of the day, document processing is at the core of any other initiative you're going to do. You know, you will hear things like virtual bots and data analytics, but remember that unless you can get that data out of the document to be processed, none of those other initiatives are going to make sense. So before you invest your money, make sure you look at document management. Let's get that automated before we look at, you know, far-reaching pie in the sky ideas. This is your basis. Let's invest more and more money to automate things that are totally manual right now.
Thank you.
I have
Team
two questions. This is Ms. Goldrush. How does this work? How would this work with AVS, and then my favorite topic, legacy systems that still seem to be lurking in states such as mine.
Right, so that's a great question. Legacy systems, it can work with legacy systems because what this does is documents are going to stay outside of that. Even if you're pushing documents into your legacy system, before you do that, documents can be processed through DocWoman. And then after that, it can go in whatever legacy system you have before that processing can be done before they go into those systems.
Those are great questions, Ms. Goldrush. This is Ms. High Roller. I appreciate the efficiencies and improvements as it relates to staff, but in 2 sentences, can you explain security? How are my customers going to have any confidence that their identity isn't going to be stolen with this application?
Absolutely. So this entire technology works behind your firewalls, right? So security, as you get your documents in, this works within your network. It can be deployed in the cloud, but it doesn't have to be. So security, we're not changing the security posture at all when we bring this technology in.
And this is Ms. Moneymaker. Can you talk a little bit about what the 2 million goes for? I think you said this would be implemented in 4 states. Is that hardware, software, people, everything?
So that would include hardware and software. People is something that that you would have to provide to actually get the documents in, to make sure that if there is something that the machine doesn't understand, like Gloria talked about, doing that validation, the people, that is what you will have to provide. And that's not additional cost because you can take your existing people that are already working on opening mail or processing your mail. You can take those people and reassign them to doing these because you won't need that labor.
All right, Team One, I got to cut you off. You guys went a little over. The judges were too nice to you. They waited to the end. So I'm going to have Team One is done. We're going to now bring in Team Two. So Team One, we learned about DocWoman and how it could drive a better ROI. Bill, can you move Team One out and bring Team Two in, please? Team Two is data and analytics. Excuse me. There we go. And remember, audience, track this because we're going to have a little at the very end, we're going to have a poll where you can compare your votes to what the judges think. Awesome. Here we go. Get started.
Denise, I think you're on mute.
Yep.
Let me start again. Hi, everyone. Well, good afternoon, Sharks. I'm Denise Winkler. This is my team. You have Jairobi McPherson. He's a computer engineer. And we have Tiki Djokovic. She is our Girl Who Code teammate, and she's a computer science major with the University of Virginia. And today, we're here to talk to you about money. How much would you be willing to spend to save millions? More importantly, how much would you spend to reduce error rates, fraud, and other improper payments, and speed up the delivery of benefits to eligible individuals and families in your own community? Did you realize that in 2020, $75 billion in Medicaid spending was improper? It was either fraud or errors. That's almost $1.5 billion a state. The SNAP error rate per state ranges from 1.25% to over 22%. On average, the SNAP error rate is about 7.9%. At a minimum, that's $6 billion that goes out incorrectly every year. Human services programs across the country receive millions of applications and claims. And every year, that's just this tremendous amount of data. Identifying errors and potential fraud is really difficult because in most cases, the process for identifying those is either all manual or it's only semi-automated. And when there is a high volume of applications like we've had with COVID, processing and going through and reviewing those applications and claims creates this tremendous backlog of individuals who legitimately are eligible for benefits, who are waiting to have their applications reviewed. So my team and I are going to demonstrate how AI and ML can revolutionize and automate the identification of transactions that just don't fit the norm. Those transactions that would be flagged as error or fraud, and then classifying those transactions and scoring them so that your staff, those really highly trained, highly valuable staff, can more efficiently and effectively review those transactions. And remember, with AI and ML, we always keep humans in the loop, okay? But they can review those transactions more efficiently and get benefits out the door faster to those people who are waiting, making your program proactive rather than reactive to going after that money after it's gone out the door. So I'm going to hand it over right now to my colleague Jairobi, and he's actually going to show you how this works. Jairobi?
Thanks, Denise.
So while you switch over, maybe I missed it. Is this for Medicaid only, or does this apply to other assistance programs?
It could apply to all assistance programs. It could apply to Medicaid, SNAP, TANF. Actually, it could even apply to child welfare, given the broad breadth of providers and invoices and et cetera, that the broad vendor base that child welfare has. So it can apply across, you can take this framework and apply it across the HHS ecosystem. Jairobi?
So this is your data. Can you easily spot a potential error or fraud? It's hard and time consuming, isn't it? That's what it's like for staff who are using manual or even semi-automated processes. AI and ML can help automate the majority of this process. Let me show you how. First, we work with your experienced staff to understand what they look for. Initially, they'll be the ones that will define the indicators of either error or fraud. Then, we pull a representative subset of your data. Things like applications, claims, identities, benefit calculations, etc. All of those are fed into a machine learning algorithm called a model. Then, relationships are established through a process called training. Once that's done, we apply the model to a new set of data and review the results, making corrections until we know the model works. Over time, as the system processes more and more transactions, the model adjusts and learns. With each transaction, the model continues to learn, and it flags transactions that don't fit the pattern. It classifies them into either potential errors, fraud, or eligible for payment so that your staff can review or investigate. That way, humans are always the final decision makers. In
This
states
is
where
Ms. Moneymaker. We have had a lot of identity theft in our programs, and then therefore fraud. How do you identify that kind of problem?
Jairobi, do you want to handle that?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you're looking at identity theft, there's a lot of different identity theft attack vectors out there, whether you're talking about synthetic identities or identity takeovers. So what our model is serving to do is to take in both factors that are related to an offline identity, things like a first name, last name, but also coalescing those with factors that are more relevant to the actual transaction itself, right? So understanding not only is this Jairobi McPherson, the real Jairobi McPherson, but are the behaviors and the attributes associated with the transaction, are those anomalies in terms of what his normal behavior is, or is that him actually applying for this social benefit? So it's a comprehensive analysis of not only the identity, but also the other attributes associated with the transaction as well.
And actually, I'll add to that, Ms. Moneymaker. One of the things that we found with improper payments during COVID is that you do have a lot of bad actors who are out there literally buying legitimate identities on the web. And oftentimes those purchased identities or stolen identities can make it through what I would consider the initial fraud or improper payments detection. It's sort of like the moat around the castle, if you will. They can get through. But when you use AI and ML in your improper payment solution, it isn't just looking for anomalies for new data that is coming in. But once you have all that data inside your system, your AI and ML can look for patterns in the data once it's inside. So it can detect things like, for example, if I had stolen Jairobi's identity and it made it through your identity verification screening, if you will, but once I get through, what do? I go in and I make a change to the bank account where my benefits are going to be sent, or I make a change to the address where my benefits are going to be set. So using AI and ML to look for anomalies, not only in new data coming in, but the data as it churns through your benefit system, is also another excellent way that AI and ML can automate flagging those things. So once again, you have a human in the loop who looks at that and you catch that before it goes out the door, so that we're not doing what every single human services person hates to do, and that is claw money back where we've overpaid someone who really is on the edge of, you know, falling off the cliff, the last thing we want to do. So if we prevent errors and fraud, we can avoid doing what none of us like to do, which is have to take money back from people who are already struggling.
So with my shades, it's very difficult to see the fraud in the screen. I'm wondering, from the fraud investigator side, how do you make this easy for them to be able to investigate suspected fraud or administratively disqualify someone?
So when AI and ML and the solution is implemented, when it identifies or classifies things that, I want to say, it alerts you to potential fraud and errors. What you have is very excellent dashboards. So it organizes the information and classifies the information so that an adjudicator or an investigator can easily look at, these are the transactions that have the highest likelihood of fraud. And that often is based on the number of flags and the type of flags that have caused that transaction or application to be flagged. And then they can easily see, it's not like a good solution is not like a black box. It provides the investigator with all the information they need. So this is flagged because of an address, or because of the IP address is offshore, or it's flagged because we have 100 accounts paying benefits to the same bank account. So what we do is organize the information. The solution will organize the information in a way that enhances the investigator's ability to focus on the most important aspects of that case first.
Hi, it's Miss Independent. Maybe we haven't gotten to it yet, but I'm having a hard time trying to understand where the solution is programmed, or what this is accessing, or how brought into my system to assist the worker.
So improper payment solutions overall typically can be enhancements to your existing system. So they're connected to your existing system through APIs. So they pull information from your normal business process flow. They put it through the AI/ML algorithm, and then they can push that information again through APIs back in either to your current workload system, or it should augment your current workload system with dashboards that enable your investigators to look, to have access to that information. So it can be piped into your existing dashboards, or a good solution provider can augment your existing dashboards. Does that help, Miss Independence?
Yes, so if I understand correctly, that once this is coded, it's a solution that workers will be alerted,
Yes.
and then they would, or work some sort of alert or notification interface with their system.
Yes, absolutely. Or you can create separate dashboards, but it should be able to adjust or be configurable to support and integrate with your existing business processes. These solutions should augment what you currently have. They really shouldn't be designed to rip and replace anything, especially today when you need relief so quickly because of the volume that we've been facing with COVID.
Team 2,
Am
we're
I
almost
buying
out
a
of time.
service?
You are buying first services to create the model. And then, well, I'm going to let Jairobi answer that question.
Before you
Jairobi,
go, Team 2, I'm going to interrupt. There's almost
Yes.
time's up. I think you have a presenter who hasn't gone yet. So
absolutely, we do. So, Jairobi, I know you didn't get a chance to finish, but I'd like to get to the value proposition. So, Miss
Yeah.
Independence, I'd be happy to answer those questions for you anytime. But it is a service. So I'm going to turn it over to Tiki, and Tiki is going to take us home to talk about the value proposition that this solution can bring to our sharks. Tiki, over to you.
So sharks, what's in it for you? Firstly, AI and ML helps identify errors or fraud before the benefits go out the door, shifting your focus to prevention rather than pay and chase. This approach will save you millions of dollars because the money goes where it should. Remember the estimated $1.5 billion per state in improper payments that was paid out last year? How amazing would it be if this number was way lower? Secondly, our approach improves your use of staff time. Our system of scoring and flagging enables agencies to prioritize potential errors and fraud and release eligible benefits to individuals and families. Our algorithm does the bulk of the work, and the humans are there to carry out the proper next steps. Lastly, AI is great because it continues to learn. So as errors and fraud evolve, so will our model. In the era of COVID-19, using this revolutionary technology can save you millions of dollars and continue to save you money as long as you continue to use it. So sharks, who's willing to invest $1 million in order to save millions or even billions in improper payments?
thank you, Team 2. Great job. We're going to cut Team 2 off. And now, judges, hope you, or sharks, hope you gleaned a lot from that. And now we're going to bring in our final team, Team 3, who'll talk about virtual agents. And I do know that there's been a lot going on with COVID with improper payments. And so that's a hot topic there. And how did the sharks decide where to invest? Okay, Bill, take out one more Team 2 member, please, and then we'll get started with Team 3. Let's get going, Team 3. Okay, Team 3.
Hey,
You're on mute.
Sharks, how's it going? This is Jamie, and we're here to talk today about Ada, the AI that's going to aid your human services agency. She's the newest public sector digital employee. The best thing about Ada is that she's here to deliver all those elements of human interaction, conversation, expression, emotion, but most importantly, understanding to the government services users every day that have all those questions that need those answers. By able to use Ada, you're going to be able to drive deeper connections with your clients and provide a greater business value. You may be asking yourself, well, what exactly is a virtual agent? We probably all use virtual agents. I'm not going to support any particular product, but we know you can say, hey, throw in a name, and you're going to be able to get something that says, oh, what's the weather? What's my email? Basically, a virtual agent is just a combination of artificial intelligence, business process automation, and natural language processing. This combination allows for sophisticated communications with your clients. It's 24 hours a day, so there's no waiting on hold. And because Ada is able to handle these routine tasks, conversations, it frees up your traditional staff to be able to handle the more complicated cases. So what we're here today is we're going to ask the Sharks for $2 million to invest with our first collaboration with the state of Nevada for Ada implementation. I want to take you back a little bit. And I know we've heard the other presentations when we're talking about the pandemic, but when we start thinking about it, just think a year ago, how crazy did things get? The unemployment rate rose by nearly 10% to 14.7 in April of 2020. That was the highest rate.
Can I interrupt? Do you have a presentation or are you just talking? I wasn't sure if you wanted to show anything.
Is it not showing?
Nope.
Well,
So,
that is unfortunate.
Yep, team three. Now, I'm
Team
not sure
three
if
is
that's-
struggling. How about that?
Uh-oh. Don't want to give you a handicap, team three.
Ask Ada to present it.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what we're
Ada.
trying to do.
Ada, show PowerPoint.
Can I get access to share screen because it is not sharing when I click the button, Bill? Let's try this again. Still not working, is it?
Ada's on mute.
Well, you might need to improvise.
We are working on it currently. You know what? You don't even have to see my PowerPoint. How about this? I'm going to be able to talk you through it without even being able to see anything. That's how good we are. So the main thing is, back when the pandemic struck, the unemployment rate skyrocketed. It was the highest rate and largest over-month increase in the history of the data dating back to 1948. Included in that, the number of households participating in SNAP rose by over 13% between November of 2019 and November 2020. So it's just this huge increase. So from that, what we're going to be able to do is use Ada. Ada is going to be able to increase the timeliness and quality of conversations to deliver to your clients. They're struggling. They need to get an understanding. They're scared. They're out of work. They're trying to figure out, how do I access the benefits to support my family? What Ada is able to do is carry out these interactive conversations that communicates knowledge, provides answers, or simply walks clients through the application process. All of this being a virtual assistant. From that, you're going to have some questions. So like, talk to us, and I've heard you ask the other groups. Tell us about the technology, the security. Well, so from a technology standpoint, Ada is accessed via a single secure cloud-based platform. This allows for like a seamless experience for your clients, your staff, and your decision makers. She's built into what we call a customer relationship management. And the CRM allows your system to seamlessly connect. If you can access any of your backend systems via a web browser, we can connect it to Ada, and then she can turn around and use those backend systems for tools that allow you to actually create your legacy systems, pull the relevant data, and then Ada is able to use this relevant data to make decisions and provide recommendations to a specific problem. From a security standpoint, she follows the National Institute of Standards and Technology, the NIST compliance. So she's fully NIST compliant. With that, the biggest thing we take from Ada isn't the security. It's not the technology. She's human-centered design. Being human-centered design allows her to be safe and trustworthy using all the statistical analysis and data that's fed to her to provide recommended solutions and answers to clients that point them in the right direction. But most importantly, and Ms. Highroller, I remember you mentioning this in your intro, is that you're really concerned about that client experience. Guess what? All of this allows for a positive experience for your clients. they're able to get their answers. They're able to get things that they need from it. But so I'm gonna ask this question too. We get asked, well, so tell me about natural language processing. How does a virtual agent learn? How does this artificial intelligence actually work? So the idea is that as customer calls come in, they're going to be filtered through Ada, and she's going to be able to process some of these requests. But then for the requests that she can't process, she actually relies on your traditional staff to turn around and teach her. It's that natural language processing. It's that modeling of language. And we all know that human speech is not precise. If you've been listening to my Southern accent, you're very clear that sometimes words get mixed up. But with this, the English language has 170,000 words, actually a little bit more than that. But what's great about Ada is she doesn't have to know all the words. That's not how AI works. What she does is she learns the language patterns through uses of phrases. So it's the idea that as these calls come in, as phrases are used, as clients say, I have this question, I need this, it's a continual life cycle, and she continues to learn and learn and learn and become more sophisticated over time. But just from an initial 600 touch points is all it takes for Ada to be deployed based on typical language patterns and the availability of policy manuals. Because again, being able to connect Ada to your backend systems allows her to pull through that data and actually pull a lot faster than your traditional staff can do.
Jamie,
I have a question for you.
Sure, go ahead.
I'm going to interrupt you first. So first of all, if you want me to spend my money, you're going to have to learn to pronounce Nevada correctly. If you want to spend money here, want me to spend my money in this state. My second question, so along the lines of language and human-centered design, am I understanding correctly that this only processes English? Nevada's a pretty, and especially Las Vegas, a pretty diverse community. Does it handle Spanish? I didn't catch that in your presentation.
No, that's actually a great question. And that's part of what the 2 million request is for, is to assist us in the collaboration of the implementation. So some of that will be used to further design the business process for additional languages. The initial design does not have that, but that is where it can be further enhanced. That's part of what our investment request would be, is to be able to process in various languages outside of the English language.
So this is verbalized communication with a caller that may call in to a call center or to a help desk?
Correct. It's calls. It is through web chat. It's even through text messages. So she is actually sitting on top of your current systems and will be able to process those calls that come in, those people that access it through the web. So trying to do an online application, she can be a virtual assistant on screen. So this is through voice, through text, through web chat.
Voice.
So how is this different from the first teams?
How's it different from the first team? So the first team was just processing documentation. This is actually human conversation. This is being able to, whenever you access, a caller calls in or someone gets on the web to actually fill an application and has questions, this virtual assistant will actually speak with them in natural language, just as we're speaking right now, and will actually be seen on screen. So it will be someone speaking to them. It will be a face on screen that mimics human interaction.
And Jamie, if Ada can't answer, it goes to a person. Is that
correct? Yes, exactly. In the workflow, that for those really complicated questions, those are the ones that actually go to the traditional staff. So she's meant to be, Ada's kind of meant to be that first line of defense in order to kind of ease some of the calls that come in where staff become overwhelmed, where they're inundated with applications. This idea is to be able to have Ada kind of smoothing some of that out so that your traditional staff can actually handle the more complicated cases.
So one of the things we learned in New Jersey with implementing mass, obviously, as the rest of the country, mass vaccinations, is I think we took for granted that certain populations, particularly our elder populations, actually utilize cell phones, and they don't, or web-based technology. So how does this help them?
So you're saying that they don't use their phones, they don't use web-based technology?
No.
Right. Well, so again, so that's the perfect piece about Ada, is so for those individuals that are going to have to come into an office, that's where your traditional staff is able to handle those. They're not getting pulled away and causing, increased lines because they're both having to handle calls that are coming in, web chats that are coming in, as well as people coming into the office. So it's the idea that Ada is not going to be able to support people that come into the office, but because Ada is supporting everyone that is using their phones, is using their computers, your traditional staff can handle the people that do come to your office.
And I guess, Jamie, can you talk about the 2 million and what that covers? Is that hardware, software, services?
Sure, absolutely. But before we get there, I do want to turn over to my colleague Myra and be respectful of time and let her talk a little bit about why ADA, and I will be happy to come back to that question. So Myra, tell us a little bit like why ADA? What's the benefits of ADA?
Hi Sharks, I'm here to tell you why ADA is the best automated intelligence solution for your agency on top of ensuring a positive citizen experience. First off, ADA saves time because you can process complex policy manuals in a matter of seconds to answer customers' questions quickly and accurately. Furthermore, ADA can complete subtasks such as updating an address while simultaneously interacting with the customer. In fact, ADA can reduce call volume by at least 15%, and applications are completed a minimum of 4 minutes faster by ADA than traditional staff. In addition, ADA saves money by expanding the capacity of your current staff to reduce wait times. Knowing Jamie previously mentioned that the number of households participating in SNAP rose by 13% across the US, it's possible an agency may need to increase their current staff by at least 3 people. However, this is not to say that ADA is trying to replace your current staff. In fact, ADA is taking care of the more mundane tasks, as Jamie mentioned, freeing up your skilled workforce to handle the more challenging issues while at the same time improving the citizen experience. In fact, market forecasts by Juniper Research suggest that virtual agents, such as ADA, will save $8 billion by 2022. And lastly, and perhaps most importantly, many clients will not even realize that they are talking to an AI-based virtual agent instead of a real human. The interaction is tailored and sophisticated in that it emulates a real human connection. And in fact, 53% of customers have said that talking with virtual agents has increased and helped their customer experience, not negated it. Thank you.
I'm interested in that because customer self-sufficiency and worker efficiency is my bottom line ROI. So what you're telling me is all as a person needs to get service is their voice to call. If they're able to type.
Correct. Yes. ADA can assist both through voice as well as web chat. So yes, if they can type questions, if they want to voice questions, if they want to see it through text message, yes, the idea is that ADA can support all of those different touch points.
And
Absolutely.
ADA will respond back to me verbally as well?
Correct. That is what the natural language processing piece comes from. It's the idea that it is truly human interaction. It really is. That's where I believe one of the other teams said pie in the sky. This stuff isn't pie in the sky anymore. This stuff is real. It's the idea that ADA is going to be able, understanding language patterns, to respond, to provide a response, to walk someone through a SNAP application, to be able to answer a question. And again, as Myra said, it's not to replace traditional staff. It's the idea that when those complicated questions come up, complicated tasks come up, that's where ADA transition over to your traditional staff so they can focus on those more challenging cases, but she can handle the simpler questions like, hey, how do I fill out the application? Or where do I go to get SNAP benefits? That's where ADA comes in and can actually handle all of those pieces, allowing staff, the traditional staff, to actually focus on the more challenging aspects. And back real quick to the question, talking about where does the investment go? The investment goes to, part of it was asked, well, what about other languages? Part of that investment would be to help us in terms of taking this technology and utilizing it in Spanish, in French, so other languages. Currently, ADA was only designed with the English language. So we all know that various languages have various usage patterns. So part of the investment would go to enhance that. And as we talked about with ADA, the more touch points she has, the more usage, the more conversation she's able to process, the more sophisticated she becomes.
Okay, team 3. Unfortunately, one member didn't get a chance to talk, but team 3, you did awesome without the PowerPoint, so good recovery. We're going to close that. We have only about 5 minutes left for our session. So, Bill, if you can move team 3 out, but keep Myra here. What we'd like to do now, the judges are going to go back and look at how to take their money. Each of them has $1 million and how to split them up. We'd like you in the audience to fill out the poll, and we'll show it in a bit once we do that. In the meantime, I would like for the judges, Sharks, please turn off your cameras. And I'd like the girls who code to be brought in. right now. And while we're waiting, as I mentioned before, part of this whole event was to do two things, is to educate on artificial intelligence and machine learning, but also use this as part of our charitable givings, as part of HSITAG Gives Back, and work on coaching and mentoring the girls who code from UVA. So I'm gonna start with you, Myra. What did you learn the most from your time working in this work group?
So I think the biggest thing I learned was how to work with the team and how to work in a professional environment. As a student, I feel like I don't really get that kind of experience. And over here, I was able to meet so many different people and see how they interacted as part of their company. And of course, with Carol and Jamie, I really got exposed to the more professional workforce that I wouldn't have been able to meet while I was in school.
And we're really not always that professional, are we? You saw in some of our calls, we weren't always totally professional, but
I think even that was part of it, just seeing that you guys were so fun and that you all get along with each other and how your company kind of interacts was really interesting for me to see.
Great. Thank you, Myra. Okay, Gloria, now for you. What was the biggest surprise you encountered during this time? You're on mute, Gloria.
Sorry, my Zoom is really lagging. So like the biggest surprise I found was like how diverse the whole artificial intelligence machine learning work group was. Like we had people specialized in government, business, technology, and like all sorts of amazing companies, as well as students. And I think it's just wonderful how we all work together to make this event a success.
Thank you, Gloria. That's one neat thing about HSITAG. One thing we do is we have many companies, all sorts of people. We leave our logos at the door, as you saw, and we all talk and we respect everybody. So that's one great thing about HSITAG. And I think you got to see that, how we just talked, and there's technical folks, there's business folks. And then when, we met with some of the judges. Okay, Tiki, for you, what was the most enjoyable part of this, Tiki?
I would say that actually participating in this presentation and the actual event was the most enjoyable part, because obviously preparing the presentation and learning about AI and ML was fun, but I'm very proud of my team members and all the other teams about how the presentations went. I thought they were very engaging, and it was interesting to see not only what the judges thought of our presentations, but how the other teams prepared their pitches as well.
Great. Okay, so one question for all of you, and you can all take turns ask, how hard was this to balance out your schoolwork? I know you're getting ready for finals, you have all your schoolwork, things are virtual, it's a little crazy. How did this impact your schoolwork, and were you able, because we've been doing this since January, you've been with us week after week after week. What was it like?
So I would say it was actually pretty manageable. Probably the past week when we were finalizing things, figuring out how the presentation and the flow was going to work, I would say that's when it became a little more hectic. But since we've been working on it for a while, I found that it was pretty easy to manage both schoolwork and working on this as a side project.
Yeah, and I feel like my teammates are really receptive and they were really helpful. I don't think I would have been able to do as well if it weren't for them and them like supporting me and helping me and understanding that I was also a student.
And Gloria?
Yeah, like Tiki said, I think towards the end it was kind of a bit more of like crunch time, but we had, as team one, we had pretty good time management, so we were able to spread out our meetings weekly, so I don't think it was that much of a conflict with schoolwork.
Okay, thank you. Can we show the results from the audience, Bill or Jen? Okay, so we see, let me see here. Oh, it's very close with team 1, 37, team 2, 34, and team 3, 29%. And I'm getting the last thing from the judges here because one second, folks. Almost done. All right. So while we're doing, I'm waiting for one more result. One last question. So this is coaching for you. I'm not sure if you participated in other coaching programs. Would you recommend this for other folks, whether we're trying to decide to expand to other Girls Who Code? Would you recommend this for other UVA girls, for other chapters of Girls Who Code?
I would say yes, because it's not a chance, it's not every day that you get the chance to work with industry experts and see their viewpoints on all of these things, because at school you only work with your peers and you kind of bounce off because you learn the same things in classes. And this was interesting because we got 2 other viewpoints about how this whole process works.
Yeah, I totally agree. I feel like we were able to meet all these new people and they were so welcoming and interesting. It really made for an experience that you don't get in school.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
for sure. I feel like everyone in the work group is just fantastic. This is a really nice experience and it was really informative and fun as well.
Okay, hey Marina, if you're on, can you resend the text because you have the numbers are not adding up. So just one quick little thing there. If you hear this, Marina, they're very close on the outcome. So people, please hold in, stay here. I think everybody should be brought in now. All right, I'm gonna, Gary or Marina, can you hear me? It looks like I'm gonna have to ad lib here unless they get back to me, but I have 3 numbers.
Well, while you're ad-libbing for a second, we didn't get to hear from Carol. She was going to share a compelling story of how she actually used ADA to actually get SNAP benefits. So, Carol, I'm sorry you didn't get the opportunity to share that story. It was very powerful, and it would have moved the needle for us to get more votes, no doubt.
That's all right. Thank you, Mr. DeMondrian.
Mark, if the numbers don't add up, we can always, team 1 can take the access, no issues.
All right, so it looks like, from what I gather, team 1 won with $1.5 million. Team 2 had, gotta make sure these numbers, well, team 3 had $1,050,000. So some dollars were sent, so that was team 2, and team 3 had the balance. So congratulations, there we go. Yeah, so team 1, 1.5, team 2, 1,050, and team 3, 550. So what this really means is bragging rights in the HSITAG community. I really want, I know we're a little over time, but I really wanted to thank all the sharks. They're very busy with their real jobs. You know, this is not an easy thing to do. So I want to thank you all, the 4 of you, for taking the time out. I want to thank the teams for participating. And again, I want to thank the audience for staying here as long as we did. We were about 4 minutes over, but thank you so much. I hope you guys learned a lot. I know team 3 had to struggle a little bit, but that's what happens in real life. I hope you guys found this event informative. You learned a bit about how artificial intelligence and machine learning can be used in health and human services. And we hope to do more of these Shark Tanks at HSITAG again. It's a different way of communicating ideas. So thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and have a great day.